everybody. Good morning.
Morning.
Good Friday morning. Well, not Good Friday, but it is Friday. Let's separate those things. So I'm just delighted that we have a weekend coming. That was what I was trying to get across. I'm sure you are too. This is an incredibly busy time of the semester for us all. So thank you for taking time today to come to our event. This is our very first professional development day at WSU Tri-Cities. We intend to have more of these. But I want to also thank the leadership committee for their work and their dedication to having professional development for all of the staff, faculty that are on the campus. So thank you for coming. As you know, goal 5 of our strategic plan is focused on campus culture and environment. Our campus is working toward creating a vibrant culture of pride and an inclusive environment that promotes both collective and personal achievement. So one very important way to do this is to have an opportunity for us all to have professional development so that we all have grow and develop, and we grow and develop together. So as our first step toward that goal, we have invited Galen Emanuel to join us and give us a great talk about culture. Fair?
Yeah.
All right, fair. Okay. Anyway, I'll give you a little more about Galen. His work is in improv. You can see that mine is not. So Galen Emanuel's work helps to transform the way teams and organizations approach and establish culture, perform together, and impact each other at work. His unique content massively improves team dynamics, communication, emotional intelligence, and generates high-level performance and engagement. Galen has a unique gift of cutting through the noise and all the fluffy language, apologies to the business people in the back, to translate broad concepts into simple, practical skills and mindsets. He is a highly sought-after international speaker with clients including Microsoft, Safeway, and NASA. Galen is also a world-class improviser and has toured with the cast from Whose Line Is It Anyway? You're a lot of fans out there already. So through your participation today, you will engage in skill-building exercises and come away with actionable tools to help us create a campus culture that is intentional and one in which we can all thrive. So please help me in welcoming Galen.
Thanks, everyone. I'm so excited to be here and for this. And I also know that none of you have any idea what you're in for, but this is going to be great. So thank you for coming. I have a couple hours with all of you to sort of challenge the way that you think about how you show up as a human being, as part of a team, as a leader, just navigating this world with other human beings, the way that you impact and influence people around you, et cetera. And I think also just like think about culture inside this organization, like inside your teams and like for you personally. I know that is a very tall order for a short amount of time. So all that is required of all of you is to just be present, just pay attention, just participate in what we're doing. We're going to cover a lot of ground in the time that we have here. Like we're going to cover a lot of ground. And I think everybody will take different things away from this personally. So yeah, but there is something here for you. Just participate, just like be present. I promise you that like there is something here for you. Good. And if what I think happens in this room happens, then like you all owe me ice cream. So good. We're gonna start. Yes, did you have something? What?
Sorry, I was just gonna say WSU has the best ice cream.
Oh, it does? Okay. Apparently good ice cream here. So maybe you owe me ice cream anyways. Okay, great. So yes, we're gonna start today. Also, this is how this is gonna go. We're gonna start way over here in left field, talking about something that's nothing to do with any of you, and we're gonna connect a lot of dots along the way. So also just like come along with me on this journey. We're starting like way out here, but by the end of this, all of this will make sense and tie in, and like we will land the plane. But just like come with me because we're starting somewhere else. And Yeah, so along with this work that I do with teams and stuff like that, I've done improv. Is everybody familiar with improv, or was like seeing these lines anyway? You know what improv is, basically. Good. That's where we're going to start. We're going to start by talking about improv, what improv actually is, and how the sausage is made when it comes to improv, as our kind of like jumping off point into what we're going to be talking about. So everything in improv is centered around this core concept idea of yes and. Yes and is the meat and potatoes of all things improv. And so what we say as improvisers is that everything that you do and everything that your partner does is considered an offer. Your job as an improviser is to say yes to your partner's offer and then add more information onto it. Very simple. That is the yes and kind of like idea in a nutshell. That's what it means. So I'm going to give you an example of what that looks like in a sort of like just in action in real time, just for the context of like this is what this looks like when it's in practice. So if there are two improvisers on stage and one of them says to the other one, "Hey Doc, I'm here for my 2:00 appointment," the other improviser would respond with something along the lines of, "Oh great, come on in, have a seat. Your brain's over here in the fridge. Let's get started with the transplant." Right? Essentially, that second improviser, if that's me, I'm saying yes to the offer that's been made. Right, the reality that's been created. So I'm agreeing to the fact that I'm a doctor, that I know this person, that we have an appointment together, that we're in some sort of medical facility, right? I'm just agreeing to all of those things immediately, saying yes to that, and then adding more information onto it, right? It's a brain transplant, put this helmet on, flip the switch, let's go. So the opposite of that in improv is what we call a block. There is only one rule that exists in all of improv, and that is that you are not allowed to block an offer that somebody else makes. So, same scenario, two improvisers on stage, one of them says to the other one, "Hey Doc, I'm here for my 2:00 appointment." If the other improviser were to respond with something along the lines of, "What are you talking about? I'm not a doctor, I'm just standing here waiting for this bus at this bus stop," that would be a block. Essentially, to say no, or reject, or deny, or destroy the reality or the offer that's been made by that first person. So, when you see improv on stage, it looks like magic. And people always ask us improvisers, like, how do you come up with those things so quickly? And is everything you do like really made up off the top of your head in the moment, or do you guys like pre-plan ahead of time what you're going to do and what you're going to say? And the truth is, yes, everything is made up on the spot in the moment. We just have a very simple set of rules and strategy that we use as improvisers that allow us to be successful in any situation, including literally, we have no idea from moment to moment what is going to happen next or what's going to come our way. And at its core is that we always say yes. We always take whatever's given to us, we accept it, and we build on it. So we are always moving forward, creating, building together with our partner, with our team. We never say no, we never start from scratch, we never destroy anything that's being created. So that's how improv works. That's what yes and is all about. That's sort of like how the sausage is made. What does that have to do with any of you? Great question. So the work that I do with teams, and what we're going to be kind of talking about this morning in context, is this idea of creating and establishing like a yes and culture, not just like inside your team, but also like for yourself in terms of like how you move through the world and just navigate human beings. And so they're surrounding this yes and idea in improv. There are basically 5 main tenets that make improv work. They're essentially the 5 main skills that you'd have to master if you wanted to become a brilliant improviser. I'm certain that none of you want to become brilliant improvisers. If you do, like follow your dreams, this is not the place for that. But these 5 tenets are also the same 5 tenets of a yes and culture. And so like that's going to be what we're sort of talking about today. It's like these 5 things that come from improv. They're also about yes and culture and how we operate together. So here are the 5 tenets. Also, I know that especially like higher education, a lot of like overachievers in here, you don't have to take brilliant notes because I have resources that I'm going to send out. So like these 5 tenets, like a lot of this information is going to be sent out to you and like you'll have it. So if you miss it, you don't have to, you don't have to take notes. Otherwise you'll forget everything that exists. So feel free to take notes. I'm just saying. So here are the 5 tenets. Number 1, to say yes. Pretty self-explanatory. We're just in the mode of things, saying yes to things that come our way. Also, side note, it's very important. It is not possible to say yes to every single thing in the world by any stretch of the imagination. So saying yes is also just a mindset of being open and receptive to other people's ideas and looking for ways to say yes whenever we can. It doesn't mean actually literally saying yes to every single thing. Number 2 is to listen and be present. Huge part of improv. It's about tuning in, being present with what is right in front of you right now in this exact moment. And like making somebody else feel listened to, really important. But number 3 is to make other people look good. And of all of the rules of improv and tenets of improv, that is the number 1 most important. Like my sole purpose as an improviser is to make my partner and their ideas look brilliant. I don't care about what I look like. I want to make this person and everything that comes out of their mouth look brilliant. That is my number 1 focus and priority. Number 4 is to embrace change and failure. That is the world that we live in as improvisers. Things are constantly changing. Also, you may have noticed in life and business, like change is constant. Failure, like setbacks, things going wrong, those are what we understand is like those are neighborhoods we have to drive through to get anywhere that we want to go. Change, failure, all of those things are just part of the process. We embrace that. And the last one, number 5, is to be positive. Use positive language, to be optimistic, not to fight with one another on stage or off stage. That's it. Those are the 5 tenets of improv. Say yes, to listen and be present, to make other people look good, to embrace change and failure, and to be positive. And there's nothing in there about being funny or quick-witted or clever or impressing anybody with your cool ideas. Those things are the death of improv. And the people that come in that want to take improv classes and perform, that are like, I'm hilarious, this is going to be so funny, are terrible. They're terrible. Those people are nightmare students. Nobody wants to play with them. Those people are terrible improvisers. Improv is not about standing out, looking good, impressing people, being funny at all. It is about tuning in, connecting with your partner, with your team, creating something outside of yourself. The same things that make you a great improviser are the same things that make you a great friend. It's true. Very simple. They're also the same things that make you a more effective leader, a more valuable part of the team, a more awesome and well-rounded human being navigating this world with other human beings, which is what we're talking about. When we talk about culture, when we talk about leadership, when we talk about like impact of other people, it's about relationships. Like that is the core of what we're talking about. And improv is like so beautiful in that way. So cool. That's what improv is. That's the 5 tenets. That's sort of also the like blah, 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 blah that I want to do about this. Here's how this is going to work. I don't have slides. I'm not going to be just lecturing about this stuff and like just talking about things and you guys taking notes. This time that we have together is going to be very interactive in that all of you are going to have an opportunity to run through a couple of like very simple activities to allow you to take the skills and concepts that we're talking about and like actually put them to practice in real time and actually experience what they feel like to use. So I need to say this because it's very important that when you hear improv and what you know of improv, and also that this is going to be interactive, at least most of you are terrified right now. Especially you. Like terrified that there is a chance that like someone's gonna get called up here on stage and have to like do some weird role play cheesy thing in front of everyone else or get caught up or like act like a chicken or like none of that is gonna happen. This is not going to be anything like improv at all. There's no one's gonna come up here on stage, no one's gonna get called out in front of anyone else. Like we're not gonna do any cheesy role play like, okay, you're the sheriff and you're an outlaw, go. Like none of that is gonna happen. This is not going to be improv at all as you know it. What we are going to do is all of you just sit exactly right where you are. We're all going to do the same thing at the same time. We're just going to partner up. We're getting to like small groups, which we'll like navigate and figure out. It's pretty simple. And everyone is going to do the same thing at the same time. It will not be cheesy or corny or weird. You are going to laugh your faces off. We're going to talk about a lot of really profound things that will impact you as a human being. I promise that. I've done this a billion times and like that is going to happen for you. I have to do this with like engineers at Microsoft or oil refinery construction workers. They're like, what is this? Don't look at me. So you are going to be fine. I promise you. I am like, if you are the kind of person who in some like outside speakers, like we're going to do something interactive, you die inside and like that's me. We're kindred spirits. I literally am allergic to those things. It's always something corny. It's like, get up and make up a new handshake with your neighbor. And it's like, oh God, like I want to die when those things happen because I'm empathetic. So when other people feel uncomfortable, I'm just like, I can't. So like, you're in very good hands. I'm allergic to cheesy, corny stuff. This is going to be just fun. I promise you. Even if you hate this, you're going to love it. So that's what I want to say. We're just going to launch into the first thing that you're going to do. And the reason that I do it this way, the reason that we do something that's like just simple and interactive is because I can talk about anything in the world. You'll forget it in a week. For us to actually learn something and like absorb it, we have to have like a comprehensive sort of experience with it instead of just me just blathering on about these ideas and concepts. It will have no impact on you compared to like actually doing something in real time. You're like, oh, I get how this feels. So that's it. I'm not going to talk anymore. You are just going to launch into the first thing that like we're going to do collectively together. So for this first very simple activity, everyone here is going to get a partner. So person sitting right next to you or behind you, close to you, everyone just grab like one individual partner, figure it out on the room, like put a hand up if you don't have a partner, like partner up. Yeah, some airflow is good. Unless it's distracting or right, yeah. So it doesn't get like too hot in here, but okay, yeah. Thank you. Okay. Good. Does anyone not have a partner? Matt? Anyone get lost in the shuffle? Okay, good. Are you two partners? Yeah, good. Wait, you two are you two partners? Yes, okay, great. Brilliant. And just for checking. Okay, good. Does everyone have a partner? Yes. Okay, cool, great. And for this, it is okay. There may be like a couple of groups of three. That is totally fine for this. It works with a group of three, so you figure it out. But thank you for getting partners. Also, that would have been the time right there for you to like get a phone call and leave and not come back. So thank you. You made the right choice. I won't let you down, I promise. Okay, great. Here's what you're gonna do with your partner. Very simple. You and your partner for this first activity are you're going to be writing a letter out loud. So you don't need pen and paper for this. It's just gonna happen out loud. And in this activity, in this letter, each of you can only contribute one word at a time, back and forth. So, and it is as though the two of you are the same person writing a letter to a second person that is neither one of you. Right? So it's like the two of you are the same person writing a letter to somebody else, and each of you can only contribute one word at a time, back and forth. So, Pauline, can I click on you just quickly for this? Okay, so, and this is the only time I need to use someone as an example, but it's helpful because if we screw it up, it's nice for everyone to see, like, this is how this could potentially get screwed up or be done well. So, if Pauline is my partner, it might look something like this. Dear Jones,
how
have
you
been?
yesterday
I
went
to
the
water slides,
and
had
the
best of
my
lives. Okay, great. Good. So good. So good. Okay. That is exactly right. Killed it. Right? Does that make sense? It's one word at a time, back and forth. So, a couple things about this before you begin. If you were just walking in the room, you grab onto a partner that's already existed, like you're a group of three. So just jump on in. You didn't miss anything. You're fine. So, a couple things about this before you begin. Number one, don't use each other's names, right? It's not like, dear Galen, how are you? Fine. Don't do that. It's not a conversation that will confuse you. The two of you are the same person. You're writing a letter to a second person that's neither one of you. And it's very difficult to do this and have it make sense because you can only say one word at a time. Your partner has a different idea from moment to moment, like what is happening next and where things are going to go, all that. So your goal here is just to have the letter make sense. You're not trying to be weird or interesting or funny or clever or throw your partner for a loop. Like, just writing a letter, one word at a time, that is coherent and makes sense is enough of a challenge, I promise you. That's all you need to try to focus on accomplishing. And we have something in improv that I love that we use that I will share with you that will make this easier for all of you. In improv, we have this thing that we call the failure bow. And the failure bow is this. If Pauline and I are writing a letter and it gets messed up, it turns into gobbledygook, or we can't continue, or we're confused, or we're like, I don't know. The failure bow is both people with a pleasant look on their face, put their hands up and go again, and just like crumple it up and chuck it. There are zero consequences to trashing and destroying a letter and starting over a brand new letter with your partner, completely fine. And you don't have to start over the same letter and try to make it make sense. Just like, again, it's gone, dear someone completely different, to start over a different letter. So everyone's gonna do this at the same time, one word at a time, back and forth with your partner, writing the letter. Okay, go, give it a shot. Okay, good. Okay. Okay. So, quick check-in, quick thoughts, feelings. Love to hear. How was that? Good. Easy, difficult. Some of both. Some of both. Did anyone have an experience during that where you and your partner could get on the same page, like fire up a couple words, like the end of a sentence, where like the next 2 or 3 words, you're like boom, 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 and then but other times where that does not happen at all? Did anyone have the experience where you thought you knew where the story was going, and then your partner said a word that screwed it up and like destroyed the story? If that happens to anyone, did anybody find themselves trying to like force the idea back into the story to like redirect? Good. So there's a lot of things happening inside this game. It's so simple, but it is my favorite to showcase everything that's happening when we interact and communicate with somebody else. Because in this game, you and your partner together are creating something different than what you would create by yourself. There's multiple brains at work. There's multiple ideas of like how things should work, how things should turn out, right? What happens next, etc. Which is true in life and business, right? Multiple interests at play, multiple ideas of like how do we go about doing things. The only way to make this game work and flow and be successful is to apply these tenets of it, right? To be listening and present and in the moment with your partner, right? To embrace change, be willing to change direction midstream, just go where the story is going to go. Also to like say yes, right? To say yes to your partner's ideas, because in this game, if Pauline is my partner, every word that she says in the letter is an offer that I must accept immediately. And every word that I say in the letter is an offer that she must accept immediately. So if we get started and it's, dear grandma, I lost my, and I'm thinking, wallet. I've lost my wallet. I'm asking grandma to like wire me some money. But Pauline says dog instead of wallet because she has no idea what I'm thinking. I need to be present enough to throw away the wallet idea and immediately accept that I've lost my dog. And I'm telling grandma about how I've lost my dog. But if I spend the rest of the time in the letter trying to mention how I've not only lost my dog, but I've also lost my wallet and I need grandma to understand, I'm preoccupied with bending it to my will. Right? I'm preoccupied with it turning out the way that I want to and holding on to my idea as precious instead of just creating this thing together with them. Because right, the letter that we write together can only exist between the two of us. I could not write the same letter with any other person in this room. She could not write the same letter with any other person in this room. It can only exist right here between the two of us, by both of us, accepting, being inspired by each other's ideas and offerings, just creating this thing. So we're going to do this again. Same partner, same exact exercise, one word at a time, back and forth. But this time, I want you to keep that idea in your mind. That every single word that your partner says is an offer that you must accept immediately and let the story go that direction. Just like see what it feels like to do it that way. Even though we've already done it one time, it may still get totally messed up. It's fine. You can be like, again, right, crumple it up. It's completely fine to do that. But the number one thing I want you to be focused on this time is that every word your partner says is an offer. You must accept immediately. Like let the story go that direction. Just like see what that feels like to have that sort of like focus this time around. Okay, go. Give it a shot. Okay, good. Okay. And everybody give your partner a high five. So, curious to hear thoughts, feelings. How was that the second time? Good. Who thought it was easier the second time? Did anybody feel like it was more difficult the second time? Good. Embrace failure. I have done this exercise probably like some version of one word something or other probably like 10,000 times in my life, and still write letters that are like, what is happening right now? This is terrible. But for everybody, whether it was a lot easier, about the same, or difficult, did you notice a difference, a shift in yourself of whether or not you're being present and accepting your partner's offers and like being in the moment like that? Yes. That shift in you, in the way that you show up when you interact and communicate with somebody else, is so important. It is so important that when somebody else is in front of us, we're talking, interacting with somebody else, that we are present and tuned in and listening to that person. I know that everybody in this room has had an experience where you're talking to somebody and they're not listening to you at all. Right? They're not looking at you, they're not paying attention, you know, they cannot repeat a single word of what you said, right? If you're married, just kidding, but also not kidding. And we've all been guilty of that, right? Somebody's talking to me and I'm just, yeah, not a single syllable process in my brain. What is important in that situation is not the information being passed from one person to the next. You could write it down, you could text them, send them an email, you could tell them later. There's another way to get that information to that person in another manner and another time. What is important in that situation is what it feels like to us as human beings when somebody's not listening to us. It feels like this person doesn't care about what I have to say, they're not interested, they don't like me, they don't agree, whatever. Even if you're not a touchy-feely kind of person, that's how we connect as human beings. We constantly listen to and tell each other stories. How's it going? How have you been? How's your weekend? Guess I'm going on vacation, right? It's how we connect. We don't just stand in a room and like make faces at each other. We tell each other stories. And I know that everybody in this room has had an experience as a customer or a client where you walk into a store to buy a TV or a phone, or you walk into a dealership to buy a car, and you come across some salesperson who you can tell is just waiting for you to shut up so they can blah, 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 blah about whatever they want to sell you on this thing, right? That you may or may not care about at all. If you leave that store, the dealership, you go somewhere else, and you come across a salesperson who's just right there. They're present, they're looking at you, they're asking you questions, right? You feel like this person's actually trying to help me get what I want. 100 out of 100 times, you'd rather do business with that person. On paper, it is exactly the same transaction, but the experience to us as human beings in the moment is what makes the difference for us. And yes, that's true as a customer or a client or whatever. It is also true as a colleague, right? As a coworker, as a leader, as an employee. Right, as a friend in a relationship. So you are 100% responsible for what it feels like to talk to you. Nobody else owns that. That is on you, 100%, right? And it's so important for us to be conscious and aware of that, right? There's a huge difference between hearing what somebody said and making someone feel listened to. And when our intention is to make the other person feel listened to, we show up in a very different way. Right, in terms of our eye contact, our body language, right, asking questions, actually absorbing what this person is saying to us versus I heard the words that came out of your mouth, right? It's like that intention has a huge impact on us, right, and the other person. And I think it's very easy in life, in business, at work, to get caught up in the trap of just listening to somebody enough to form a response, and then waiting for them to stop making noise with their mouth so that we can say what we are already going to say back to them. Right? Someone's talking to me, I get the gist of what they're saying, and it's like, shut it. They stop talking, and I'm like, blah. So important to let somebody finish what they're saying. Respond based on what we heard them hear and be tuned in to that person. And this exercise also proves how simple and easy that is to do. If you think back to the first letter that you wrote with your partner, of the two, in the first letter, everybody in this room totally focused on yourself. You're in your own head thinking, what word am I going to say next? Where's the story going to go, right? You're focused on your own experience. And in the second letter, we talked about the idea that every word that your partner says is an offer that you must accept. Your focus, your presence, right? Extended around your partner. You're able to be totally in tune and aware of, am I listening to this person's ideas and offers, right? And honoring those as well as giving my own. Your brain can process that much information. It is super powerful. We just have to choose to show up like that in our communications with other people. It is so important. The impact on the people that we're interacting with is huge, just for us to tune in and listen and make that person feel listened to. Right? So simple, but fun. Okay, great. That was like simple, easy 1.0. Very first thing, we're going to switch gears, do something totally different. So for the second activity, you're going to grab a different partner. So somebody else that you did not just partner with, you might have to make a new friend. You're going to let live, but like make a new partner with somebody else. Yeah, grab a new partner. Okay. Good. Yeah. Who does not have a partner? Ah, right there. Oh, he did. Okay. Good. Great. So, checking in. Is everybody good? Does everybody have a partner? Okay. And are there any groups of 3 out there? Just so I'm aware. No groups of 3? Are there any groups of 3 out there? Does everyone have one individual partner? We're good? Okay. If I see a group of 3 out there, I'm going to lose my mind. Just kidding. Everything's fine. Okay, great. Just want to make sure like nobody's left out. And the group of 3 is okay for this. It works for 3, so you're fine. All right. I say this about like a lot of exercises I do, but like this is probably my favorite thing we're going to do. Watch what happens here. Okay, great. So for this next activity, very simple. You and your partner are going on a picnic together. How pleasant. So all you're going to do for this game, very simple, is take turns suggesting something to come along with you with the 2 of you on this picnic together, right? So if Pauline is my partner again, she might say, let's bring a frisbee, right? That's it. Let's bring a, or let's bring some, fill in the blank. It can be anything that you want. I will say no. And I'll give a quick reason why I don't like that idea, and I can say anything I want. Be like, nah, I suck at frisbee, it's boring, it's too windy outside, I don't want to bring a frisbee. And then I will suggest something else to bring instead. Let's bring a blanket to sit on. She will say no. And give a quick reason why she doesn't like that idea, and then suggest something else. So every single thing that your partner suggests to bring, no matter what it is, it's a flat out no. Give a reason why that idea sucks, and then suggest something else. Just like trade ideas back and forth, right? It's not one person sharing all the ideas, we just trade ideas back and forth. Everybody has the same reaction. Everything your partner suggests to bring. Nope, it's a bad idea, here's why, and then like suggest something else. That's it. Okay, go for it. Give it a shot. Okay, good. Okay, that is officially the worst picnic ever. No picnic happening at all. Okay, great. Round two. Round two. Same partner, same exercise, one idea at a time to bring along this picnic with the two of you. This time, instead of a flat out no with your partner, this time you're going to, with every idea that they suggest, you're going to be just completely indifferent to it. So if Pauline says, let's bring our bikes and ride around, I might respond like, you can bring your bike if you want to. I'm not going to ride around, but go ahead. So my attitude about it is that I'll allow it. I'm not saying no to it. I'll allow it, but I'm not going to participate in it. Right? So, yeah, if you're on watermelon school, I don't care. I'm not going to have any. But like, knock yourself out. I don't care. And then I will suggest something else. You have the same response. So, right, you're not saying no to it. You'll allow it, but whatever. I don't care. Do whatever you want. I'm not going to participate in that. Right? That's it. Back and forth. Okay, go. Give it a shot. Okay, good. Good. That is officially the second worst picnic ever. I think that one's worse than the first one. It's like passive aggressive picnic. It's basically like going on a picnic with a teenager. It's like whatever. Okay, great. Round three. Same partner, same exercise, one idea at a time, back and forth. This time, every single thing that your partner suggests to bring, no matter what it is, you must say yes excitedly, like it is the single greatest idea you've ever heard of anything to come along on a picnic in your entire life. It doesn't matter what it is. If Pauline's like, let's bring a jar of pickles, and they're like, yes, I love pickles, that's perfect. And they'll suggest something else, you have the same reaction. And I actually want you to say the word yes out of your mouth enthusiastically. It is the greatest idea you've ever heard every single time. Suggest something else, your partner have the same response. Okay, go. Give it a shot. Good. Uh, so, thoughts, feelings, how was that? Much better. Okay, good. Good. So, curious to hear some thoughts, feelings, observations. What did you notice different in the third version of that than the first two, just in general? Easier? In what way was it easier?
It was a lot easier to come up with your next idea.
Yeah.
You usually would say yes to.
Got it. Yeah, probably easier to come up with ideas. Yeah, for sure. People feel like that. It's easier to come up with ideas. What else? What do people notice?
Positive energy.
Yeah, more positive energy. Yeah. What else? There's something. Somebody said there was something here.
Oh, it's just so exciting.
Yeah,
Just
it's
like
exciting.
all the possibilities.
Yeah.
Keeps on growing.
Yeah, right. Good. Did you have?
Oh, I was gonna say it just got way louder in here.
Yeah. Definitely got way louder. Good. Other things people notice? Yeah.
Conversation built on each other.
Yeah. Did people feel like that? It felt like the ideas like built on each other in the last one versus kind of like starting from scratch every single time. Good. Anything else? What else people notice? Listen. You were listening more closely. Yeah, for sure. Good. Anything else? Other observation?
More smiles.
More smiles? Yeah.
Really weird.
Yeah, but on that note, do people feel like the ideas in the third one got like way more outside the box, so like more creative or like weirder, right? Like more illegal, whatever. What about? So I'm curious also, like, what did you notice specifically about your partner? What did you notice specifically that was different about your partner?
You like them.
Yeah. You didn't hate that person. You might actually consider going on a picnic with that person. What else? What else do you notice different about your partner? Body language, yeah, like just more animated and like fired up. Yeah. What
They're
else?
excited to share their ideas.
Yeah.
There was no.
Right. Yeah. They're like also excited to give ideas and like they're just like more fired up. Anything else? People notice different about your partner? Yeah. 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 It's like smiling and like just more excited and animated, all that stuff. Yeah.
The ideas were better.
Yeah.
The ideas are better. The ideas that came from there were more creative or just like, yeah, it just felt more kind of in tune. Just ideas felt better. Good. Yeah. And I think, did you?
We started to agree.
Yeah.
You could see a positive direction going, like,
Yeah.
that would be amazing.
Yeah. It felt more like together, right? Like you together as opposed to like this person, thing. Yeah. Good. And I think also important, like you didn't hate that person. You might actually consider like going on a picnic and hanging out with that person versus like the first two, right? Good. So I want to talk about this. I want to unpack this exercise. It's very simple, right? There's no like huge mystery here in this game, right? You're all like very intelligent adults. We get it. We get what's happening. Say no to something, being different to it. Say yes to it. Like no surprises. Like, oh, okay, great, we get it. But there are two things happening inside this game that are so critically important to the way that you show up as a human being and impact other people in your life and like just move through the world. Number one, that's what it feels like to have somebody else say yes to one of your ideas. It feels great. Even though they have to in this game. They don't have a choice. They have to say yes. It still feels great. If I have an idea that I'm not really sure about, I'm like, I don't know, let's bring some chairs. And Pauline's like, yeah, chairs, that's awesome. I'm instantly inspired about my own idea. Even if I was totally lukewarm about it 2 seconds ago, as soon as she's like, yeah, chairs, I'm like, chair suggester. This guy. I mean, no big deal, but it was my idea, so that's cool. And the opposite is true. And she's like, chairs, that's stupid. I won't sit around in a chair all day, that's boring. No. I take that on too. I'm like, oh yeah, what chairs? Who said that? What? That's dumb. Or, depending on my personality type, I don't take that on. I just silently resent her because she hated my idea. Right? I'm like, oh, you don't like chairs? What do you got? You got? Just kidding. Cool. Secondly, that's what it feels like to say yes to somebody else's idea. Something that was generated in someone else's brain, came out of somebody else's mouth. You said yes to it like it was the greatest idea that you've ever heard, and nobody died from that. Also had the awesome side effect of having that person have a completely different experience, right? To be laughing, to be smiling, to be more creative, right? To be more animated, like body language, to have better ideas, like all of those things, right? Not the completely different experience on their end was not based on the quality of their ideas. It was 100% based on your response to their ideas, right? They had a completely different experience, laughing, smiling, all these things animated, just because you said yes, like it was the greatest idea you've ever heard. And I can smell smoke grinding in people's brains, so I'll say it, so you don't have to say it. We can't say yes to every single thing. We can't. It's impossible. It's not even close to possible or realistic, right, at all. This is real life, it's business. We have to be analytical thinkers, we have to be strategic, we have to make smart decisions, right? Like, there are plenty of horrible, terrible ideas that you have to say no to. Otherwise, you'll like fail as an organization, you'll get sued, you'll like put yourself in personal financial danger. There's lots of things to say no to, and you have to say no to those things. I am not suggesting through this exercise that we just like go through the world and be like, yeah, I love that idea. If someone suggests something, we'll be like, I love that idea. We'll flip a practice right again. Right? We'll never fight again. We'll always get along. Good luck. Not possible. Right? This is real life. It's business. We can't just go through the world saying yes to every single thing in the world and being fake and ridiculous. This is not about saying yes to other people's ideas. What this is about you being aware of and taking responsibility for the way that you impact every single person in your life, every single time that you open your mouth, based on your choice of words, your body language, your energy level, your mindset, all of those things. We have a massive and gigantic impact over the people that we communicate with and interact with, right? And it's not about saying yes or saying no. The outcome of saying yes to somebody else's idea is completely irrelevant. There's a way to say yes to someone to make them feel like crap. I'm like, fine, I'll go on a hike with you. Ugh. Technically, that's a yes. It sucks. And there's a way to say no to someone to make them feel like, I heard what you said, I considered it, this conversation is important to me, you are valuable to me, but that idea does not work, and this is why. It is possible to say no to the idea and yes to the person. And the distinction between those two things is so important, and also that you understand and take ownership that those things are different. They're different. It is not that we say yes or that we say no. It is how we say yes and how we say no and how we respond to other people and their contributions. That is what has the impact. That is the like heartbeat of any relationship that you have with any other human being. I know that all of you, every single person in this room right now, can think of somebody in your life, top of mind, immediately, right now, that if you have something you want to go do or go try, and you're excited about and stoked and like fired up about this thing and this idea, and you go and you share with this person, you'll shoot it down. You can think of that person right now, top of mind. It doesn't matter how excited you are. It doesn't matter if it has nothing to do with them. It doesn't matter like how positive it is. You can guarantee before this person opens their mouth, it will say something negative and crap you out about that idea. Like, I wouldn't do that. Watch out for this. Why would you? Blah. Like, those people are, some of you are those people. They're everywhere. I still love you, but like, they're everywhere. And I know that every person in this room also you can also think of somebody right now in your life, top of mind immediately, that if you have that same idea, same amount of excitement, and you're fired up and you go share it with this person, instant cheerleader. You have a friend, coworker, acquaintance, family member, spouse, somebody in your life, you share that same idea with, they're like, yeah, that's rad, that's all, I'm so excited for you, like I want to hear all about it, like, yes, that's great. And I know that those are two giant extremes, but the reality is, which one of those two people do you want to be to the other people in your life? The people that you work with, your friends, which one of those two people do you want to be? Like, it is so important that we are conscious of the way that we say yes, the way that we say no, the way that we respond to people. It is like you have a choice, literally, every single time that you open your mouth to make somebody's day a little better or a little bit worse. And it's on you. Nobody else owns the words that come out of your mouth and how, the tone of voice, your body language, your energy level. You are in charge of that. That is a choice you make every time you speak to somebody else. It's so important for us to be conscious of that. And the thing is that, like, this is not an intentional thing. There's nobody in the world, I promise you, that wakes up in the morning to be like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to say no to people's ideas and crap people out. Be like, okay, off to work. Like, let's do this. Oh my God. It's like, that's not a real thing. It's not a real thing, right? It is not an intentional thing anybody sets out to do. This is 100% about self-awareness. It is about emotional intelligence. The person that you thought of in your life as that no person, that shoot something down and say something negative, they don't see themselves as that, right? I guarantee you that that person would be shocked to learn of all the people in your life that you know you'd be least excited to share an idea with, based on how they consistently respond negatively, right? And like make you feel about your ideas. I promise you, that person thinks that they're a shining light of hope and help. Like, that's what they think they are in your life. They have no idea the impact that they have on you and how you show up around that person as a result of the way that they respond to you. They have no idea. And like, is that true for any of you? Like who, right? It's like not just the words that come out of your mouth, but like the 2.0 version of that is like, how do you show up around those people as a result of how they respond to you? Because there's people in your life that show up around you in a certain way because of how you respond to them and communicate with them. And like, it's so important for us to be conscious of this. And it's so subtle, it can be so subtle. I have a story about this that perfectly exemplifies what I'm talking about. A number of years ago, I got done doing a workshop with this team, and afterwards this guy came up and like told me his story. He was planning on running a marathon. It was months in advance, it was a half marathon. And he just got this wild hair. He's gonna like go train for it, go do it. Like his friends were supportive. He's like, yeah, he's got this wild hair. He's like, yeah, marathon, I'm gonna do this thing. His dad lives out on the East Coast. And one day he's on the phone with his dad. And he's like, Dad, I'm thinking about running this marathon. And his dad goes, really? Why? Why would you do that? And his dad proceeds to tell him about how running is bad for your body. What's the point of running a marathon? Because you can't win anything. And how you have to like train for months and get blisters on your feet and all this equipment. And like basically, why would you do that? It's the worst idea you've ever heard. And even though this guy was super stoked about running this marathon, his dad sucked all the wind out of his sails, planted that seed of doubt. He got off the phone. He ended up not running the marathon because of that conversation with his dad, which is ridiculous. People, what is the point of injecting negativity into a situation that does not warrant it? You have so many opportunities in your life to just shut your mouth, and you should take advantage of that opportunity every chance that you get. Every chance. Especially if the only thing that you have to contribute in that moment is your suddenly expert opinion that's negative about something that you don't even care about, that you don't actually know anything about, or there's just like, here's my opinion about something, to trample on whatever you just said. It is not necessary. It's not kind, and it impacts your reputation and the relationships that you have in your life. This guy's dad doesn't care about marathons. He wasn't trying to stop him from running a marathon. He's just suddenly an expert about running. And like his dad doesn't have to get up and train for months to do it. So why does he care, right? He could have responded by saying, that's awesome. Go get it. I want to hear all about it. Like, I'm so excited for you. What difference does it make? And again, it's not about being fake and cheesy and saying yes and being like a fake, inauthentic person, right? It's like, it's not about saying yes to everything in the world. If I have a friend who's like, I'm thinking about robbing a bank, I'm not like, yeah, follow your dreams. Like, it's just about discretion. Do I need to trample on this person's idea? Do I need to say something negative? How am I impacting this person by the way that I responded to what they just said to me with this conversation? It's so important for us. And when I talk to teams, every industry, in the entire universe, this is the heart of culture. How do people treat and respond to one another? What does it feel like to be there? Like this truly is like, do people enjoy their coworkers, their boss, like the people around them? It's truly just based on how do we respond to each other and how do we make each other feel? You have so much power and impact over how other people feel to be around. But it's like you have to take ownership of that, right? Be aware of it. This is not about anyone else in your life. How do you respond to people? How do you respond to ideas and other people's contributions? Like choice of words, body language, tone of voice, all of those things. You have so much power. And collectively, when teams understand this, and everybody's intentional about this kind of work and the way that they impact other people, you have such a healthy foundation for people feeling trusted. They can speak up in front of meetings, and they can share bad ideas without feeling stupid. Like all of those things are sort of at play. And just it takes personal ownership and accountability. How am I impacting other people? How am I responding? So real talk. I love you guys, but it's important. Okay, we're gonna switch gears, do another activity. This one's gonna be different, but kind of tying everything we've talked about. You're gonna make this work. The style seats that are in here will not prevent this from being able to be possible. So here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna get into groups of about 4 or 5-ish. So you might have to just like stand up and make a circle with like people in front seats or whatever, but like get into a group of about 5 or 6 people. And then I will explain what you're gonna do. The number doesn't matter, just no less than 4. So at least 4, no more than 6. And I'll say this, if you guys are like seated or situated in a place where it's like sort of weird, you can also like stand up and like go off to the side or whatever too. Just like everybody can like see each other and hear each other makes this easier. So, okay. Good. All right, great. We have our groups of things. Did anyone get lost in the shuffle that's not in a group? We're cool? Okay, great. Oh, join any group. Okay, sweet. Here's what you're gonna do. This game activity, very, very simple, and this is what it is. This is a simple brainstorming activity. So what I'm gonna do is you as a team together, I'm gonna give you something to brainstorm and create together, and you're just gonna brainstorm and build this thing, one idea at a time. So here's how this one works. Let's say I'm part of this team right here, and let's say the thing that we're gonna build and brainstorm and create together is a cake. Delicious, tasty cake. So here's how it works. This is just a popcorn. So we're not going to go around and order person to person, take turns. Anyone that has an idea can just pop up and share it, right? We're not going to go in order, just popcorn, brainstorm, whoever has an idea, share it. And when anybody on the team shares an idea, here's the rules of this game, is how it works. Like one simple thing is that when anyone shares an idea, every single other person in the circle immediately, out loud of their mouth, says yes. And then anybody else can add anything onto that idea, right? So as we get started, it might look something like this. If it's a cake, I might be like, it's a chocolate cake. Yes. It's a birthday cake. Yes. It's got candles on it. Yes. It's got pink frosting. Yes, right? One idea at a time. We just popcorn ideas. Everybody jumps on every single idea with a yes. So a couple things about this game before you go that are important. Number one, it's important to resist the very human, normal urge to change or cancel someone else's idea. So if I say, it's a chocolate cake, someone should not pipe up and be like, yeah, but half of it is vanilla, right? Just be aware, right? Just be aware of not changing or canceling somebody else's idea, right? When someone gives an idea, we all jump on it with a yes, that's what we have and that's what we're building on, so just be conscious of that. And this is the most important thing about this game, what I'm about to say. Literally, when any person on the team shares an idea, every single other person immediately out loud of their mouth says the word yes. It is not acceptable to just pleasantly nod at somebody. No, I hear giggles, but I'll look around this room and see people being like, can't do that. Have to say the word yes out of your mouth immediately. Not after like a 4-second pause where you consider if you like their idea or not. Like, someone gives an idea, jump on it with a yes immediately. That's what we have as we build on it from there. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. Cool. Great. So, first thing you're going to build and create together and brainstorm out of thin air is a tropical island. So anything about this island, but you're going to make it up out of thin air. So you're not going to use Hawaii. It's an island that you're going to create. So what is it called? Where is it? How big is it? How do you get there? What's on the island? What does it look like? What do people do there? Literally anything that you want to create and brainstorm to like build this island that you think is awesome. You can have 3 sunsets a day. It doesn't matter what it is. Any idea, just throw it out, right? We just build this thing one idea at a time. Everybody jumps on every single idea with a yes. Okay. What is it called? Where is it? Let's build your island. Go. Give it a shot. Good. Nice. Okay, wrap it up. All right. Good. So, quick check-in. Quick check-in thoughts. How was that? Good? Was it every single person saying yes to every single idea? Okay, good. Great. So, and did anyone have the experience, just curious, because this happens, where you feel personally like at some point you kind of like run out of ideas, but then somebody else will suggest something and it starts a whole new like train of thought, and you're like, oh yeah, like this. Okay, good. So, round 2, same team, same rules, same everything. We're just gonna build and brainstorm something totally different. So this time, with your same team, you are going to create out of thin air a brand new sport that doesn't already exist. And the rules for that sport. So pretty simple. Start with like, what is it called? And then like, how many players on a team? How do you score points? How do you win? What kind of field is it played on? What sort of outfits or equipment do the players use? Is it professional? Is it co-op? Like any of the rules of this game that you make up out of thin air, anything goes about it. And again, everybody jumps on every single idea with a yes immediately. Start with like, what is it called? And then one rule at a time. How does it work? How do you play it? What is this game? Okay, go. Give it a shot. Okay, good. Great. Everybody, give the rest of your team a hand for being awesome. Okay, I have a question for all of you, which is this. If the very first thing that I did when I got up here, instead of talking about improv or yes and or any of that kind of stuff, we started, here's Galen, I come up here, and I'm like, great, break up into groups of like 4 or 5 or 6 around the room, and I just had you, out of thin air, create a brand new sport and all the rules to that sport, right off the bat. No other introduction, just walked up here and be like, okay, create this brand new sport out of thin air. What would that have looked like in here? Yeah. So incredibly super awkward. Maybe a handful of you sharing ideas, most of you would not have opened your mouth one time. Right? Like, what sport is stupid? Outside speaker. What is this? No way you could have done that. There's no way you would have participated like that. There's probably some super weird ideas out there in terms of like the sport you just came up with. But there is 0%, I mean it, 0% chance you could have come up with anything even close to that, remotely even like that creative, anything. There's no way you could have done that. And nobody in this room is any different. You are literally exactly the same people that you were an hour ago. Nobody in this room is more creative. Nobody in this room is more like outgoing. Nobody in this room is more confident about sharing their ideas in front of other people than you were an hour ago. None of you know anything more about sports than you did an hour ago. You are literally exactly the same people. All that we did was change our culture. That's it. We just changed the way that we participate, share ideas, respond to other people's ideas, how we engage in something, how we like perform together as a team to accomplish something, and all of a sudden, this is possible. This is the power of having an intentional culture that says this is what it means to be part of this team. This is how we show up for one another, this is how we treat one another, this is how we like perform, engage, and like do something together as a group of human beings. Like, how powerful to have this. Like, what you just experienced in real time, in any organization, in an industry, in any size team, in the entire universe, is the difference between just getting by and being good enough and being exceptional. Can you imagine if this is what work felt like every day? Every single person, 100%, fully, fearlessly engaged. Fearlessly. I mean that. During that time, did anyone have a bunch of ideas that they didn't share because they thought that people would think they were stupid? No, you shared all your stupid ideas. And they were fine. Because the people around you on your team were like, yeah, that's awesome. And then you built this other thing, right? Instead of, for me to look around this room and see every single person, every single team, with a huge smile on their face, throwing out these weird ideas and saying yes to these weird ideas, and knowing that an hour ago, most of you would not have participated at all. It is so powerful. And this room is full of creative, brilliant-minded, intelligent adults. All the ideas that you shared were great. What you just came up with this board was great. It was creative, it was interesting, it was like fun. And everybody actually participated and had a good time with it. But an hour ago, you would have sat there quiet and awkward and not said a thing. And what this proves in absolute truth facts is that we do not need better people inside our organization. What we need is a culture that brings the best out of the people that we already have. There's a huge, gigantic, very deep well of creativity, of engagement, of performance that exists inside any team or organization. And like, this is just even a sample of what it feels like to tap into that. Can you imagine? Instead of the bottom 20 or 30% of how we show up every day and the people around us, if we could even tap into 80% of this every day. Have no, right, during that time, no criticism, no judgment, no one's worried about, does this person like me, or none of that. All of the garbage that we carry as human beings, insecurities and criticism goes away. So it's like, we're just gonna create this. And the way we did this was through this very simple, like, concept of like this yes and culture, right? These very simple behavioral tenets that we say yes, that we listen to other people, make them feel listened to, that we make other people look good. We don't try to make our idea be the one that's the right. We're not trying to impress anyone else. We embrace change. We don't hold on to our ideas as like the most precious thing in the world. We're positive, not in a fake, cheesy way, but just like because positive energy makes a difference and impacts people like this to bring the best out of them, right? And part of the truth of this and the psychology of this on teams inside organizations is that this takes every person. We give each other permission to show up like this, silently, but very, very powerfully. If in your group of 4 or 5 or 6 people, right, on your team, if there were 1 or 2 people that were there, you're like, this is stupid, I'm not doing this, this is dumb, sport. There's no way you would have shown up in that game the way that you just did. That would have shut you down, right? You'd be quiet, you'd say less things, you'd take less risks, you'd say less weird things, right? Because we don't want to be criticized and judged, right? Like the dynamics, the psychology of what's happening in terms of human beings and how we participate and engage, and like the willingness to like be vulnerable by just participating is massively impacted by other people. And like, this has to be something we take ownership of. And you guys, this only culture can do this. This is not operations, it's not marketing, it's not sales, it's not like the only thing that will bring this out, right? In a group of human beings is creating and understanding how to make and like establish and sustain a very intentional culture that sets the ground rules for this is what it feels like to be here. These are the rules that we're playing by. In this case, very simple. Yes and culture, right? We say yes, we listen, make other people look good. Some simple sort of ground rules there, but like, look what that created here for all of you. And like, it's not about everyone else. Nobody in this room showed up in that game the way that you would have an hour ago. It's not like everyone else had this different experience, but you were exactly the same. Every single one of you showed up completely differently in that exercise than you would have an hour ago. And like, it just proves in real time what is possible for us. And like, isn't that what you want? Like, don't you want to work for a culture inside an organization, inside a team, where people are very intentional about how to impact each other, where you can truly feel like I can show up, give ideas, and be supported, right? And just like all of the time, it's possible. It's not a far away thing that isn't available to us. But if we don't have conversations, if we're not intentional about establishing culture and what that means to us as an organization, it will not happen. This will not fall from the sky. It doesn't. It's not the MO of human beings. but like how powerful to experience that in real time. To be like, oh shit, right? It's like you guys like, does that make sense? That resonate? Like, right? It's such a powerful thing. Cool. Okay. Good. I know I get excited, but that's just kind of, all right. We have a couple more activities that we're going to do. Just to like put a bow on this and sort of like wrap up and cover a couple other things. So, but are you guys having a good time so far? Yeah. Okay. Good. Awesome. I am. So thank you. And thank you for participating and being engaged. And like, it means a lot to me. It's always fun for me, but like, I just really appreciate everybody being like welcome right here. Okay, cool. So a couple more things to move through, and then we'll sort of like wrap her up. But what I want to talk about is something that is useful. We've sort of like shifting gears here a tiny bit. We talked about yes and saying yes, and this like hooray, positive, rah, 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 rah stuff, which is great. It's easy to do when everything's going well. But I'd like to also touch on like, how do we navigate conflict, people sharing ideas that we don't like? How do we navigate some of the like more challenging elements of like human interaction with other people and being at work and just diverse personalities and working styles, etc. And do that still under the umbrella of yes and. So just want to like touch on that a little bit with some like skills, tools, some language, mindset, and activity that I think is like really powerful in that regard. So all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna partner up again. Let's have it be like someone that you have not partnered with yet. So like find somebody else in the room, in the space you haven't partnered with, maybe make a new friend, but like, yeah, grab a new and different partner, and I'll tell you what we're gonna do. You guys will be part, right? Right. Just go and like break up some other, just like go crash up. Yeah, just crash into someone else. Okay. Good. Okay. So, does everybody have a partner? And for this, I'm asking this time, and like, I need to know for sure, are there any groups of 3 that exist right now? Okay, cool. Only one though, right? No other groups of 3? Okay, a group of 3 is okay for this. But don't like dawdle. Don't take much longer than other teams. So just like get right to it. You don't have to like race through it, but just be aware of not dawdling in this. The other ones is easier to incorporate 3. This is like, it's a little bit clunkier. So it's gonna be fine. Just don't dawdle. Okay, good. Here's what we do. This activity, very simple. This is what you're gonna do before we begin the partner is for yourself. You're going to, in your brain, pick no dogs or cats. So no household pets, but I want you to pick your favorite animal in the world. Something exotic, a rhinoceros, whatever, something that's like out there that you think like this is the best animal in the world. It doesn't have to be real, it can be a unicorn, a dinosaur, I don't really care. But like something you're convicted that you're like, this is the best animal in the world. Also, just as a quick side note, I think this is more impactful if you pick something that you're actually convicted about, as opposed to like, sometimes people are just like, oh, I couldn't think of an animal, so I just thought like a squirrel. Nothing wrong with squirrels, but like, pick something you're actually convicted. Oh, there's a group of 3. Someone just came in that doesn't have a partner, so one of you become their partner. Instead of that, let's break up this group of 3 and just like one of the 3 of you become this gentleman's partner who just walked in. Okay, cool. Good. Great. Yeah, it's easier that way. All right, friends. So I've dawdled. That's enough time for you to pick an animal. And also, no one is gonna have to like act like their animal or whatever. This is not like the cheesy like the cheesy improv part of it. Like everything's fine. That animal is gonna be subject matter for this activity. We have a couple rounds of this, and you're gonna keep that same animal for yourself. It's just gonna be subject matter for this exercise. So okay, here's how this game works. What is your name again? Heather, that's right. Okay, cool. If Heather's my partner, then she goes first, right? So we'll just like both have a chance to go. If she goes first, this is what will happen. She will say to me, I think the best animal in the world is a blank. So whatever animal that she picked, let's say she picked a penguin. So she will say to me, yeah, I do too, they're great. Okay, so she'll say, I think the best animal in the world is a penguin, period. Full stop. That's it. That's all she says. She doesn't like expand on that. And I will respond like this. I will say, nope, I disagree. It's not the best animal in the world. And then I'll give 2 reasons why it's not. I'll basically just like make a case for why it's not the best animal in the world, give 2 reasons. And I can say anything I want, right? I'd be like, no, I disagree. Penguins are the best animal in the world. Penguins can't fly, which is lame for birds. And they live in cold climates, so we never get to see them or hang out with them, right? So just like 2 reasons why not. Done. So that's it. We've completed. Now the other person goes. So now it's my turn to go. I will say, I think the best animal in the world is a giraffe. Let's say that was mine. She will have the same response. Nope, I disagree. It's not the best. 2 reasons why it's not. Done. So once both of us have gone one time with our one animal, we're done. And so as soon as both people have gone and you're done, if you can put like hands up so I know which teams are done and who still needs more time. So quick refresher again, just to be really clear about those directions. Person A, I think the best animal in the world is a blank. Person B, no, I disagree. 2 reasons why it's not. Trade places, right? Same thing. Once both of you have gone, hands up so I know who's done. Okay, go for it. Good job. Okay, that's everybody. Great. So, second version, same exercise, same animal for yourself, but this time we're going to tweak the response. So again, if Heather says to me, I think the best animal in the world is a penguin, I will respond like this. I'll say, nope, disagree, it's not the best, but I'll name one thing about it that's awesome, that's great, and one way that it could be improved, right? So I might say, right, best animal in the world is a penguin. I'll be like, nah, I disagree, they're not the best, but they look great. They look really sharp. They're like little outfits, little tuxedo thing. Like they look really awesome, and they would be better if they could fly. Right? That's it. Done. And then I will go with my same animal again. I think the best animal in the world is giraffe. Same response from her. No, I disagree. It's not the best, but one thing about it that's awesome. One way it could be improved. Once both of us have gone, again, hands up. Okay, go for it. Give it a shot. Okay. You guys good? You guys are like going into it. Okay, great. So, round 3. Same animal, same partner, very similar exercise. This time we're going to tweak the response for the final time. So, Heather says to me, I think the best animal in the world is a penguin. And I will respond with these exact words out of my mouth. Tell me more about that. And she will say why she thinks a penguin is the best animal in the world. When she's done, my turn. I think the best animal in the world is a giraffe. She will say these exact words out of her mouth. Tell me more about that. And I will say why I think a giraffe is the best animal in the world. Once both of us have gone, hands up, you're done. Okay, go for it. Tell me more about that. Okay. I think that's everybody, right? Almost, yeah. Okay, great. Okay, good. So, quick sort of debrief chat about this. First, I'm curious to hear for you personally, individually, how did it feel to have your partner ask you and get to say what you thought about your animal instead of hear what they thought about your animal? Just like thoughts, observations, feelings. How was that? Anyone just like share? Way better?
Yeah.
Different ideas? Do you like tell me more about what do you
Well,
mean? Like,
you know, when we were talking about the negative stuff, like he definitely had things to say about the animal.
yeah,
Like mine was a honey.
got
And
it.
so when I went to go present the things I thought were good about it, it was like a totally different idea
Totally
that hadn't even come across.
Right, yeah, like totally new territory about
Yes.
everything that had been brought up. Yeah, great. Any other thoughts? Yeah.
Well, I learned more about the person and their characteristics.
Yeah.
Hearing about her stuff, because I learned that she's caring, that she likes caring for
Right.
things, and that was more interesting than actual animals.
Yeah. Which like sort of like along that lines, like who felt like they learned something like about the animal, but also like about your partner. Like you learn something about your partner, like why they like this animal or whatever kind of thing, right? It's like good. Other thoughts, feelings, observations, just like experience, either in asking and listening, or getting to like be asked and getting to say. Yeah.
Some of the things that someone may not like about an animal, or possibly some of the things that I like actually liked about it.
Right.
Right? Like she mentioned, like the tiger's very fierce. And I'm like, I love fierceness.
Right.
I love like how powerful they are.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of nuance. Like they can be lazy. They can be like
Sure.
climbing in trees. So like there's a lot more to it than what someone else may originally have an assumption or have that.
And just like even between those two people, like the thing that you're like, I hate them because of this, you're like, that's the thing I love about them, right? Like it's like different. Good. Any other thoughts, experience, observations? Yeah.
I realized we were talking maybe about different things. I was thinking about the animal specifically about the animal, and she was talking about how the animal made her feel.
Ah, yeah.
And So what I had to say meant nothing about how.
Right. It was kind of irrelevant until you understand like the context. Yeah. Right. Cool. Yeah.
So my reasons for saying no were dumb, right? Like, Damien has a favorite animal, which I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm like, no. And I was like, oh, but I gotta come up with a reason.
Right.
Like, this person, like, so I realized that, like, I mean, I was just saying no because we just say no. We just say no.
Yeah.
Like, as a parent, you just say no.
Sure. As like a response, but also like there's like effort involved with coming up for like, well, no, but like here's why. That's like, is that ever or always necessary to be like, oh, I'm gonna put some energy into like, here's no, but like also here's why. I was like, no one asked you. Yeah, thanks. Good. Cool. Any other like observations? I think just like, I think the like debrief is really great. So I like to give space for people to share. Like I noticed this, or here's what the thought to me. So I just like to leave space. Yeah.
I noticed it was hard to come up with a negative thing on an animal that I actually do like.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, no, I don't like that because it stinks.
Right. Something you actually like, so yeah, it's hard to like come up with a reason why when you're like, oh, I like that animal too. Good. So, okay, I kind of want to just unpack this a little bit and sort of like dive in here. Really simple, kind of like surface level sort of exercise, but I think there's a lot going on here, and I want to just kind of touch on it. So, I think most communication and interactions between a lot of people take place in round one of this exercise. Two people trading statements. This is my opinion. Here's this factual thing. Just trade statements back and forth. Nobody asks questions, nobody listens, nobody learns anything. It's just like, this is what I think, or here's this thing. And in round two of this game, it feels more positive, right? Because I'm like, oh, well, I don't think penguins are the best animal in the world. Like, here's something great about them, and here's how they could be improved, right? Like, it feels like a more positive, like, interaction between the two of us, because at least I'm saying positive things, but there's a trap there. I think it's very nuanced, important to pay attention and be aware of, is that, like, even though round two feels more positive, the trap there is that all the communication coming from me is about me. I don't care what you think of penguins. This is what I think of penguins. They're great. They suck. They could be better this way, blah, 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 right? Like, you could have said anything. You could have picked any animal. It's like, I don't care about what you have to contribute here. Like, this is my opinion. And many times, all the communication that comes from us is about us. The other person could have literally said anything in the world. It didn't matter. They could have just been on mute the whole time. And like, once they're done talking, we just say what we were going to say. It didn't matter what we even heard them say. And round three of this exercise, of this game, is actually a place where a conversation can happen between two people, where I can learn something I didn't already think, that I don't already know. I can gain more context to something that makes this person's perspective make more sense, right? That I wouldn't understand unless they have an opportunity to like explain it or talk about it. And it's like so important that we're conscious and aware that like that is where our conversations and communication take place. Whether that is like day to day normally, especially in conflict, or especially when we get static with somebody else, right? We're not just waiting for our turn to speak, actually listen. And the way that you make people to listen to is like ask them questions and actually hear what they have to say. Active listening is not just nodding your head when someone's talking. It's also like, what do you think about that? Share with me, like tell me more. And I think it's really important. And a couple like, I think critical applications of this, right? Because we talk about like, okay, saying yes to ideas and all this yes and stuff, which is like great, cool, positive. But how do we say no? How do I respond when somebody shares an idea that I hate or I think sucks? How do I navigate that, right? Like, well, I want to be like, yes, in a fake way when I'm like, I hate that idea. And so let's talk about that in real time, just like sort of touch on that, because I want to like, as a real example, is that let's say that Heather comes to me and she's like, Galen, I've got this idea. I think we should take the whole team, like, camping together over the weekend, right? To like just like go and have this like team building activity and like go camping together over the weekend. I can think of 100 reasons why that's a terrible idea, right? It's like it's like people in tents in the woods over the weekend. It's an HR nightmare. It's like it's not inclusive. People have kids who would be able to make it. Right? It's expensive. Whatever. Like I can say like there's 1,000 reasons why that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. But if I just fire back of like, no, we can't do that. Here's why. Here's all the reasons why it doesn't work. Two things happen. Number one, she feels shut down. Here's this idea of, no, we can't do that. Here's all the reasons why not. No, boom, 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 boom. Can't do it. Number two, this happens more often than we are aware of and conscious of, is that when I do that, when I take her idea at face value and just shoot it down or like have an opinion about it, I risk saying no to the wrong idea when I do that. And what I mean by that is instead of shooting down our idea and coming back with all these like, here's why that won't work, if instead I were to just ask her a handful of questions, right? Tell me more about that. Why do you like that idea? Like, why is that important to you? How does it benefit our team? Just like, tell me where you're coming from with this idea. What I might uncover in the process of that and learn is that the reason she thinks that going camping in the woods over the weekend together is a good idea because we don't get a lot of time outside of the office together as a team. It'd be nice to get outside, get some fresh air, and just like do something fun and creative together that's not work related. If that's the reason that she thinks camping in the woods over the weekend is a good idea, there are literally 100 ways we could accomplish that same goal that aren't camping in the woods over the weekend. But if I don't ask the question and dig deeper and get to the heart of like, why does it matter to you? I risk shooting down something that I could very easily find a way to say yes. Not always the case, but very important. And I think it is a superhero power to have the ability for 5 seconds in your life to postpone having an opinion and just listen for a second. Like, it's so rare that people are able to do this. Like, we're human opinion machines. We think that every person at every moment needs to hear our opinion about everything, and guess what? They don't. I'm not saying don't have an opinion. I'm saying have some discretion about where and when and how you share it. Especially in situations where someone's suggesting an idea I don't like, I have to deliver a no, or there's conflict here. It's like the ability to just pause and not have an opinion for a second and gather more information is like, it's godlike. It really is. It's so important. The thing about this is that, like, I know this is going to be hard for you to hear and believe, but when somebody, for example, says that they like a song or a band that you don't like, you don't have to tell that person that you hate that song or you hate that band. I know that's mind-blowing to you, but like, you have the option right there to think that and just be like, okay, period. Full sentence. You don't have to tell that person. You don't. You can just be quiet. Like, you don't have to trample on that thing or be like, oh, here's my opinion about that that's negative. I hate that song. We don't do it to make the person feel bad. We do it to connect, right? We do it to be like, oh, here's my relation to it. Like when someone tells a story, but oh, I had that happen to me too. Like, it's a way that we connect. We're not doing it to intentionally make someone feel like crap, but we do it and we make people feel like crap without noticing. So like, be conscious and be aware. You don't need to share your opinion at every moment and having some discretion. It's not about like, well, don't say what you think. It's about like, have some consciousness and intention about like, do I need to say this and how? And the other thing is like, especially in conflict, especially when we have static or conflict with somebody else, right? It is so important to be able to like stop, listen, ask first, right? And just postpone and have that like, tell me more about that mentality, right? Because this is what happens most times when there's conflict between people. Heather comes to me, she's like, Galen, I can't stand working with your department. You guys are terrible. I hate working with you guys, right? Like 99% of the time that happens, especially in a workplace setting, is this. We're not terrible. You guys are terrible. You have no idea how busy we are. We have all these things going on. You guys are the ones who blah, 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 right? Like, again, we're back to round one of that exercise, trading state. This is what I think is my position, right? Especially in conflict, we're great at this. And I dare you, I challenge you as a human being to have the courage, when somebody comes to you to be like, you're the terrible, I dare you to just have the presence of mind and courage to respond to that person by saying, tell me more about that. Where are you coming from? What is causing that? Like, tell me more. I want to listen. Where is that coming from, right? If the only thing I know from Heather is that she can't stand my department or she's mad at me, I can't do anything to fix that. I can't change every single thing about my department and hope that like one of those things will correct why she's upset with me, right? And when also I'm only concerned about being right and being defensive and firing back about why she's wrong, I don't even care to correct the things that are like causing her to have an experience that's negative, right? I'm just like focused on being right and defensive and like accusing her instead. But right, again, if I postpone having an opinion for 10 seconds and just ask her some questions, even though she's fired up, even though what she said, I'm like triggers me, whatever, just to be like, tell me more about that, where you're coming from. What I might uncover in the process is the reason that she can't stand working with my department or she's upset, whatever, is because we are swamped beyond belief. So when she sends me an email or something, she might have to chase that email 2 or 3 times, never hear back from me because it's low priority for us because we're way swamped beyond belief. But she might have work that's bottlenecked. So until she hears back from me, she can't move forward with something. right? And never hears back from me. That is a legitimate reason to hate interacting with my department or with me specifically, right? But if I don't understand it and uncover it, I can't fix it, right? We can't solve this thing. We just end up with this resentment where I'm like, you're wrong, bro. And then we just have resentment and we never solve this thing. And I know it's like, sounds oversimplified, but how beautiful would it be when we had conflict with somebody else, we go right to that person and be like, hey, this thing's happening for me, it sucks. And that person's response was like, well, tell me more about that, where are you coming from, let's solve it. And the thing is that like we naturally do this, right? Have that customer service kind of thing when it comes to students or customers or like outside, somebody else, so, right? You get some student or somebody on the phone who's upset about some kind of thing, you're never going to respond by being like, well, you're the idiot that doesn't know how to use a website, right? Like, right? We naturally take this stance of like, I'm sorry this is happening. Let's talk through this. Let's make this right. Let's figure out, I'm sorry that you're having this experience. Like, let's make this right. Like, here's what, let me help you through this and like get you right, because we care about preserving that relationship because it's financial or whatever. But it's like, when it comes to work conflict or static, all that is out the window. We're just like, I'm right, you're wrong, we're defensive. It's like, no. And we suck at conflict. As a society, as a culture, and teams, as adults, we just do. We suck at it, and for good reason, right? Because it's like, I don't know about you, but most of us come from broken homes. Our parents don't know anything about conflict and model like terrible use of conflict and navigating static. With us, you go to school, kids are mean. It's like, hey, guess what? The world's a cruel place. Good luck. Then you grow up, you get a job with other adults who have their own weird damage with conflict because we don't receive like nonviolent communication training in school or ever in our lives. So we just like have this group of humans who work together who suck at conflict, right? Where people either avoid conflict at all costs, they pretend nothing is wrong when something is clearly wrong because they don't have the skills or the courage to bring it up and talk about it because we're afraid of how that person is going to respond or react or retaliate, or right? And like we treat conflict like war. Some people just like yell at other people or like insult them. Like we're not in control of our like emotional behavior around that, as opposed to just like solving this thing together. So good reasons why we suck at conflict, but like there's a better way. And wouldn't it be great to adopt just a mindset, conflict, to be like, it starts with, tell me more about that. And I think that whether it's somebody sharing an idea that I don't like or have conflict with somebody else, I sort of see this as like a 4-step sort of process or like thing to involve, which is like, number one, the relationship comes first. That regardless of what the outcome of this is, you share an idea that I don't like, or we don't like each other, or whatever kind of thing. It's like my number one priority and goal is to strengthen and preserve this relationship. Because regardless of what happens here, we still need to work together on the same team, right? We still need to exist as human beings on the same planet. And this relationship is my number one priority. So the words I say to you, my tone of voice, the way that I speak and treat you and navigate the situation is like, that is the core of this. This relationship matters to me. Even though we're in conflict, even though I disagree with you, whatever, right? And step number 2 is this. Ask and understand. Tell me more about that. Why? I think tell me more about that is the single greatest, best tool for you as a human being to navigate situations in your life that are difficult. Something to have ready to pull out of your pocket at any time. It's so like to give you a moment to breathe and not react immediately to something, to let that person feel listened to actually ask and hear where they're coming from first, right? So you can fully hear them out before you need to respond or solve things really, right? It's like, tell me more about that. Where you coming? Give me a second to breathe, calm down, regulate my sort of emotions, and let that person just speak without having to be right, without having to have an opinion, right? But just to hear where you're coming from. And step number 3 and 4 is like, step number 3 is like, what's possible? Once I ask you, why is that important to you? Why do you like the idea of going camping? Or like, what's the root of this conflict? Why are you upset with me? Or what's going on that's causing this experience that sucks? Once I've isolated that and asked some questions to understand, it's like, is there any way that we can fix that? Right? Is there any way we could say yes to that idea or the objective behind the idea, right? Or part of it, or at face value, like, is there any way possible that we can say yes and make that happen now that I understand where you're coming from? Can we resolve this conflict and like make that idea work, or like trying to accomplish that objective that you want behind it? And if we can't, right? It's like, no, we ask all those questions, we go through the process, we get to step number 4. It's like, number 4 is like, it's never just no. Also use language and appreciate people. I appreciate this conversation, right? This idea that you brought up to me, that I'm like delivering a no because these are the barriers, these are the reasons we can't do it. But, right, this is like no to the idea when yes to the person. Like still to use language, like I appreciate this conversation. I appreciate what you're trying to accomplish here, like what you're going for. Like, I know this is not the outcome that you wanted, but these are the reasons why this is a barrier, and I still value and appreciate it, right? It's like using language to let people know I care about it. I care about this conversation. And all we're doing, right? I don't pretend that if you do these things, tell me more about that and like have that process, that like conflict will be easy. And delivering a no to people is like fun. It's not, it sucks. The worst part of humans and like interacting with other human beings, right? And just like other people's egos and insecurities, like navigating that as humans, it's the hardest thing you have to do. But what we're doing here is like giving you some tools and language and a mindset of navigating situations like that give both people a way better chance of coming away from that feeling good, feeling listened to, feeling positive, right? Even though the outcome is like, if I'm delivering a no to you, it's not what you wanted to hear, but in the process, right? I proved through my behavior that this relationship matters to me. That you matter to me as a human being, regardless of what the outcome of this is, right? That I will always hear you out. Tell me more about that and listen. Always look for a way to say yes and challenge my own immediate like rejection to an idea, but just be like, postpone that for a second and be like, can we say yes to this? Is there any way we can make this happen, right? And if it is a no, it's like, I value you, I appreciate you, right? I know this is not the outcome that you wanted, but like, I care about you, I want you to have these conversations with me, right? I think is important. So, cool, good. And tell me more about that, truly is really valuable. It can be done with levity. If anyone on my team, for example, comes to me with an idea, and I respond to them by saying, tell me more about that, they know that I hate their idea. They know that I hate it. And it's okay, because what I'm also saying and proving in real time, and I mean this, and my team knows this about me, is that even if I hate your idea, I will always hear you out. I will always give you an opportunity to share with me, why do you think this is a good idea, without interrupting, without having to be right, and just postpone my opinion for 10 seconds and be like, tell me why you like that idea, tell me how that benefits us, like, why do you want to do it that way? I will always hear them out. It doesn't mean I guarantee I will go that direction, or that I'll, right, accept that, or say yes to it eventually, but I will always hear them out. Good Lord, that matters to people. It matters to people to feel listened to and heard and hear them out. You might hate their idea, but like, why is it important to you? Just share it with me. I'm not endorsing the idea just by letting you talk and making you feel listened to in the process. So just some tools, mindsets for you. This is not just work conversation. This is with friends. This is in a romantic relationship. It's like the way that we navigate static and difficult situations and stuff is so important. And like, there's one thing to take away from any of that little section is like, tell me more about that. It's great. It's a great tool to be like, I actually want to hear what you have to think. And I can not talk and share my opinion for 10 seconds and just listen. Conflict. It's the most disarming thing in the world. Can you imagine how great it would be if you're totally mad at somebody, you're like, just like having these angry conversations and all those unhealthy ways that we navigate conflict, and you finally like have that conflict, get to someone and be like, oh, I'm so mad at you, and that person's just like, well, tell me more about that. Tell me why. I just want to hear you out. I want to listen. If I have an opinion, I don't need to be right. I don't need to defend. Where are you coming from? Let me understand. How disarming, right? And you're fired up. Like if we can do that for each other, like how lovely. And like, that's not just at work, it's in relationships anytime. Right? I think it's a superpower to react to anything someone says to you well, right? And to like have that presence of mind, just like be in control of your emotional behavior. You might say something that triggers me that I hate. An employee might come to me and be like, you're a terrible listener, you're the worst leader I've ever had. Without question. If I hear those things from employees of mine, I'm gonna respond by saying, tell me more about that. Where are you coming from? Right? You think I'm not a good listener. I don't need to be right. It doesn't matter if I think I'm a good listener. What that person is telling me through that feedback is that they don't feel listened to by me, which sucks. That's not the impact that I want to have on them. So I don't need to change their opinion, right? I put my energy and effort into changing that person's experience with me, which starts with just asking and listening and understanding. What does that look like? How can I change that for you, right? It's not great. I don't love hearing that, but I'm the one that can fix it. So let's talk through that, right? Superpower. Hard, simple, not easy to do, because none of us learn to navigate conflict like that. But like, oh man, how sweet would it be if every person in your life that you have static with is like, you could just go to that person and be like, hey, things don't feel great between us. Like, let's talk it through. You go first. I just want to listen. What are the assumptions? What are the things that you're feeling and experiencing? Like, let's talk through this. Let me share mine too. It's like, we can navigate this. There's nothing that exists between people that we can't solve. But having the skills and the tools, right, and the mindset, like to be able to do that is so powerful. So I'll stop talking, but I think it's important. I think it's an important conversation. And there's a lot of different applications to that in your life and that language and that mindset around that. Like, hopefully it's something that resonates. Okay, I want to do one last activity that I love. And so this is a little bit different than what we've done. I know we're getting close on time, but we have time to do this. And I think it's really, really critical conversation. So this is chaotic, but you're going to survive it. We're going to get into a large circle around the outside of the room. So make that happen as quickly as possible, as silently as possible, so we can just get into it. Great. Perfect. Yeah, like a little bit. It's okay. Okay. Great. Yeah. You're great. You're fine. Everything's great. You're fine. All right. Do you want to get up on the stage too, so that we're just like more, and that doesn't count? Okay, great. We're gonna learn this game as a full group. There's an unwieldy amount of people to play this game with, so we're gonna learn it as a full group, and then it's gonna be possible and fine, but we're gonna break up into smaller groups so that we can play it like at speed with the experience of it. So here's how this game works. It is called Zip Zap Zoom. Some of you may have played versions of this game. If you have, ignore them. It's done different ways, so just pay attention to me instead. Okay, here's how this game works. We're just passing a couple simple words around the circle, and there's ways that we pass them around the circle. So we're just gonna learn it one piece at a time. So the first word is zip. Very easy. The way that we pass the zip around the circle is you look at the next person in the circle, clap like one hand through the next, and say the word zip. And it just goes around circle in order, person to person. It doesn't change direction. It doesn't do anything clever or interesting or funny. It just like, we go around the circle in one direction, that's it. And as fast as we can. It's not like, if I see it coming, I'm not like, zip, it's like zip, we're fast. You see it coming, so be ready to like send it as quickly as you possibly can. Okay, we'll start with that first piece. Here we go, zip. Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zip. Zip.
Flawless. Good. Okay. So, and good speed. Thank you. Sometimes I have to be like, hello. Okay. This game should be fast. So, second word in the game is zap. So, remind me of your name?
Robin.
Robin, that's right, okay. If the zip is coming around the circle and Robin gives it to me, I can send the zip forward like we just did, or I can zap her, in which case she will turn and send the zip the other direction. So it just changes the direction of the zip, and it doesn't turn into zap. It's a one-time event. It's like a reverse card in Uno. That's exactly what it is. I'm like zap, and now the zip is going that way around the circle. Anybody can zap as many times as you want. It just changes the direction immediately. So we're gonna add that second piece. There is absolutely no way in the universe it's gonna make it around, but like, don't worry about that. It's just so that we can all learn it as a full piece. So I'll add that second piece. Here we go. Zip.
Zip. Zip.
Zap.
Zip. Zip.
It's okay. It's okay.
Zip. 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 Zip.
Tap.
Zip. Zip. Zip.
Tap.
Okay, good. We get it. Great. So, told you. Third piece of this game is the third word is zoom, and the zoom can go anywhere in the circle at any time. So if the zip is coming around, Robin gives it to me. I can send the zip forward. I can zap her, or I can zoom across the circle to somebody else. So what is your name?
Jessica.
Jessica. If Jessica sends the zoom across to me, right? She sends it across to me. I have a couple options. I can either send the zip out in either direction to keep it going. I can zoom somewhere else in the circle, or technically, I can zap her zoom, which puts it back on her, and she has to make a different choice, right? So I can zap her zoom across the circle, and she has to do something different. So, something I want to say about this game that is important about this game, and also everything that you'll ever do for the rest of all of your life, I promise you that we are going to screw this game. People are going to say the wrong word, do the wrong thing, and make a mistake. That already happened, right? 1 or 2 times. So, in the interest of improv and yes and everything that we've talked about and everything that we're doing here in the circle, if Jessica sends it across to me and she says zip instead of zoom, I know what she meant because she looked at me and she clapped and she said a word out of her mouth. My job is to make her look good and accept her offer and continue to play the game. When somebody makes a mistake, which will happen, lots of mistakes, we do not stop the game. We don't have to, like, that person doesn't have to apologize or laugh at them. Like, we just incorporate the mistake and continue to play as fast as we can. Everybody is going to make mistakes. That's fine. We just incorporate them and continue to move forward. We don't get derailed or slow down because of mistakes. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So we're going to play it again. All 3 words in place just as a full group for a moment, just so that we can see it with all three together, and then we'll try it in like smaller groups. So, okay, ready? Here we go. So quick refresh. Zip. Just goes around in order, person to person, either direction. Zap is a one-time event. Puts it back on that person. They have to make a choice. And zoom can go anywhere in the circle at all. So that's how it goes. Let's try it. And mistakes are okay. Go fast. Fast is more important than being perfect. Okay, here we go. Zoom.
Zoom. Zip.
Zoom.
Zap.
Zap.
Zap. Zap.
Okay, good, we get it. So here's what we're gonna do. Find a group of about 10 people, make a circle that is either like off to the side or like around some chair, like figure it out, get into a circle of about 10 people, the exact number doesn't matter. And once you have your circle together, start it off. So like you guys clump up. Yeah. Yep, great. This is great.
Okay, ready?
You guys are great. Start it out.
Zip.
Perfect. Yep, that's great. This is great. This is great. So someone send it out. Go. Start it.
Zap. Zoom.
Zap.
Okay, good. Time out. Time out. Time out. Time out. So I know that you already feel like you're playing this as fast as you can. I promise you, you're not. So for a very short window of time, 30 seconds, you're going to play this game, same rules, nothing different at all, as fast as you absolutely possibly can in your circle, which means don't think, just react. As soon as it gets to you, send it somewhere else. You will continue to make mistakes. It doesn't matter. Don't stop. Just go as fast as you possibly can for 30 seconds. Okay, ready? Go. Okay, good. Okay. And give the rest of your team a hand for being awesome. Okay, go back. You guys can have a seat again.
Can we give it up for Galen Emanuel?
You can, but also, I'm not done yet, so sit down. Not yet. Nope, not yet. Yeah, okay, good. We have a few minutes, and I will try to keep this without going over, which I'm not going to go over for a few minutes, but right. So I want to talk about this game. We talk about, I think this is the most important conversation with all that exists with teams and the exercise that I do. We talk in Improv about embracing failure a lot. It's one of our tenets, and I want to unpack that. I think a lot of people, when you hear embracing failure, what we think that means is when we make a mistake or whatever, we just take it easy on ourselves and sort of like move on. Yes, that is an element of it. But when we talk about embracing failure as improvisers, in the context of a yes-and culture, this is what that means. It is a proactive mentality and mindset that says we understand that if we set out to do anything in the world, the one thing we can guarantee from start to finish is that something will go wrong. Whether we're going to build something at home, roll out some system, software, change anything at all, work, something will go wrong. We don't know what it will be. We don't know when it will happen, but somebody will measure something wrong, order something wrong, cut something wrong. Some technology will break for no reason because that's what it does. Like something will go wrong. We know it. So when it does, instead of freaking out and being derailed, we're like, just pick up the ball and continue marching forward. Because we know that is going to happen. It's a proactive mentality. It's like mistakes will not derail us or completely destroy everything we're trying to do, we know they're coming. We just don't know when they'll show up and how severe they'll be. But as soon as they do, it's like, okay, cool, let's go. And I want to talk about a couple things inside this game. Zip zap zoom, right? In terms of like, if we were to measure our productivity and success as a team playing this game by the amount of times that we send the word around the circle from person to person to person, we're more successful, more efficient, we get more done if we just incorporate mistakes. If when somebody makes a mistake, we just continue to go and move forward, we get more done, we're more successful. And I also want to like point out a thing that might be in some people's brains, which is like, well, we can't be sloppy with what we do. And I'm not saying like, well, who cares about we make mistakes? Just do whatever, mistakes are fine. Like, well, Galen said we make mistakes, like who cares about what we do? We, at the same time that we strive to be absolutely perfect at everything we do, we strive to make zero mistakes, to be exceptional, right? To always grow, improve, and make no mistakes and be awesome. But at the same time, we also allow we're human beings. People around us are human beings, and like mistakes happen. All of us at different times make them, or people around us make them. And like that is part of the process of everything, is that things go wrong, setbacks, failures, whatever. We just understand and we can hold those two things to be true, that we strive to be exceptional, right? Not make mistakes, and also allow that we're human and other people are human. And the last thing I want us to like unpack about this is that the most important thing about human dynamics and psychology and team like culture and stuff is also at play inside this game. So let's say we have a culture to where, right, if Heather sends it across the circle to me and she says zip instead of zoom, and I'm like, nope, you can't zip across the circle. You can only zoom across the circle. You zip left and right. I've already said that like 4 times. Let's start over, which is hilarious. But honestly, how different is that from how we actually show up and treat one another? Somebody makes a mistake, or like shows himself to be imperfect, and we piranha them. We slaughter people for making mistakes and being imperfect, right? And if that is our culture, then this is the result of that. I can be standing here playing this game, zip zap zoom along with everybody else. I'm in the circle, we're playing this game, and also hoping that nobody sends it to me. Because I'm not going to remember all the stupid words, I'm going to say the wrong thing and make a mistake, and I don't want to look stupid, and I don't want to play. It is invisible. I'm here in a circle, I'm playing along with everybody else, but coming from a place of fear, of reluctance, right? Of afraid of being criticized, right? Of judgment. Nobody, human beings, planet can thrive in that environment. If I'm afraid to make a mistake, people will make me feel stupid, right? And then all I'm concerned with is towing the line, not standing out, not being like insulted by everybody else or looking down. And if instead our culture is one to where if Heather sends it across to me, I know that she made a mistake. She may or may not know that she made a mistake, but I know that if I make a mistake playing this game, every single one of you will make me look good and have my back. And I also show up in this game, playing this game, understanding that if any one of you in this room make a mistake, I will make you look good and I will have your back. I don't care if it's my job description, I don't care. Unequivocally, that is how I will show up for every person in this room. And if I know that every other person in this room will show up like that for me, that is what being a team is about. Truly. Then if that's truly the environment that we have, the only thing I need to worry about is being in the circle, participating and trying, right? And doing my best. And that is where we get to when we play that create a brand new island, create a brand new sport game. Nobody's worried about being criticized or judged. We're just here participating 100%, knowing that other people will have our backs and just look good. There's no bad answer that someone can be like, that's a stupid idea. None of that exists. And like this taking place inside this game, zip zap zoom. There's a beautiful thing I want you to look for in your life. Please take advantage of this at work, in your personal lives, romantic relationships, I don't care. When Heather sends it across to me and she says zip instead of zoom, I know that she made a mistake. She may or may not know that she made a mistake. And there's an opportunity for me in that moment to extend her some grace. I don't have to point out that she made a mistake and make her feel stupid or called out in front of everybody else here. I can make her look good here, extend a little bit of grace. Like encourage you to look for those opportunities and do that. I don't care if nobody else around you does that. Do it. Because collectively, if everybody takes ownership to do that, we have a place where people actually want to be, where they feel supported, and people can thrive. And I think that is so important. But like, it's not about everyone else. You have to take ownership of showing up like that. Collectively, that's how we show up together. We don't badmouth other people, right? We go to somebody, we issue with somebody else, we go right to the source, sort it out with them. We speak about other people, it's to make them look good, to lift them up, right? Truly, talk about like making other people look good. That means when they're not in the same room as you, and if you don't like them, right? It's like when it's hard to do, it's not against your like natural instinct to do, that's when it matters, not when everything is going great, right? And some people is doing great and celebrate their success, it's easy to make people look good. But if I work with someone that I don't like, don't get along with, or disagree with, I can still choose to come from a place of wanting to say yes, of wanting to make that person feel listened to and feel heard, of making them look good, even when they're not in the same room as me, right? Of embracing failure and change, of extending that person grace because they're human beings. And I want the other people to do the same thing for me and being positive, right? Not in a fake, cheesy, inauthentic, I'm positive all the time, da, da, da. Not realistic. It's real life. Not every day it's rainbows and puppies, right? But to be in control of my emotional weapon. What attitude, what energy, what level of positivity, or like how am I impacting other people by the way that I'm showing up? Because it makes a huge difference. So it's it. Simple yes and concepts, a simple idea, but it's like, please take things that are in here and like reflect, adapt them for yourself. Like, how amazing would it be to have a campus and a team and organization where every single person takes full ownership to show up like that, right? Isn't that where you'd want to be? You'd never leave that place, ever. Talk about retention, talk about culture, talk about performance of teams. This is it. It's really, truly not really about anything else. How do we feel? How are we treated by our coworkers, right? Culture is, how do people show up and treat each other, how they approach their jobs? If we want to have an exceptional culture, we need clearly defined behaviors, right? What are the ground rules that we're playing by here, right? What do we allow? What do we endorse? What do we accept? What is expected of every person? What are the ground rules? It doesn't have to be punishment and negative. In this context, it's these simple 5 yes and tenets. You say yes, we listen, make other people look good, right? Grace, change, and failure, some grace, positive. It doesn't have to be punitive, a list of rules. It's like, what is our culture? We're clear about that, right? And we're committed to it. It's consistent. It's like, yeah, there's so much, right? And who wouldn't want to work in an organization, a team like that, right? So thank you all so much for your time. I know we're a few minutes over, but I thank you guys for being so attentive and participating, and I hope that you found some sort of version of value here and things that you can take away. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.